In 1950 at Lord's, the West Indies achieved their first Test victory in England, thanks largely to those little pals of mine, Ramadin and Valentine. They also had a trio of rare batting class, Worrall, Weekes and Walcott, the three Ws, and at Trent Bridge, John ARLOTT described Frank Worrall and Everton Weekes putting England to the sword.
And now we watch Shackleton turn again, come in from the Radcliffe Road end, bowl to Worrall, and Worrall cuts him again, wide of those two slips. With very accurate pricing down to Jenkins at third man, who bowls the ball in to Parkhouse at second slip. Worrall 97 now, 222 for 2. 222 for 2. And now the bowler at this pavilion end is still Hollies. Hollies to Worrall from the pavilion end, the slip, a short third man, a cover, short extra, mid-off rather deep, and an extra cover on the boundaries. His offside field comes in, bowls to Worrall, and Worrall pulls that wide of mid-on, 4 runs in his 100. And this must be a very tired England fielding side. Been plenty of foot pounding on this. Oh, he's called in sole up from very deep at long leg. Up Worrall, and Worrall off his back foot forces the ball to mid-on. Apparently isn't going to let him get his 200 with a gentle deflection on the leg side, so he's brought those two fieldsmen up there close. Almost everybody could save the one now. They all close in as Yardley bowls, and Worrall off the back foot hits the ball quite hard back to the bowler himself, stops it. 395 for 3, and Worrall's not 199. 199. One for his early scoring stroke for his 200. Yardley bowls to him off the back foot. There it is. It's 4 for good measure. Away to that long on boundary. Yes, it's gone over with Hughes once more in pursuit. Frank Worrall 203. Has 200 in exactly 4 hours. He's been scoring at 50 to the hour. 2 6s and 27 4s. 120 of those 200 in boundary hits. And now Yardley bowls again, and Worrall pushes him out on the offside. They decide not to have a run. Hughes fields and returns to Evans. That's the end of the over. 399 for 3 wickets. The next applause will be for the 400 up, which will indicate a lead of 177 with 7 wickets standing. A fairly good position to be in. It doesn't matter if the weather breaks now. In fact, it's doubtful if England could save themselves now by batting for 2 days. Always supposing they could bat for 2 days. Bedser with his widespread defensive field. No, presumably they won't take the new ball tonight. Bedser comes in, bowls to Weekes, and Weekes digs that out. It's pitched well up to him. Hits it hard to Jenkins at mid-on, who comes up rather tiredly from his bend and hobbles back. Again, Bedser turns, comes quite strongly in from the pavilion end, bowls to Weekes, and Weekes goes forward and pushes him out on the offside for Yardley to come in from cover point and field. Becomes fast, medium right arm over the wicket, bowls, Weekes forward, a single. Easily taken, that's the 400 up. At the moment, the West Indies are 237 ahead, with their score 460 for 3 wickets, 234 to Worrall and 94 to Weekes. Now that's hammered out on the offside by Weekes, well fielded by Washbrook. Bedser heaves his shoulders, swings his arms back behind him until they meet, rolls his sleeve again, and comes pounding ever optimistically in from the Radcliffe Road end, bowls to Weekes, and Weekes picks him off his toes, hits him hard to mid-on. There, Hughes fields it. Only 3 fieldsmen on the onside. Insole down at long leg, ever active. Hollies at mid-wicket. and Dews at mid-on. The rest on the off. And Bedser comes in, bowls to Weeks, and Weeks throws his bat at a ball wide outside his off stump. A most impudent stroke. That ball was a yard wide of the off stump. Almost any other batsman in the world would have let it go by, but not Weeks. He threw his bat at it and at full arm stretch, clouted it through that packed offside field for 4 from the very second it left his bat. And now he's 98, waiting on his 100. And here's Bedser moving in now to bowl to him. And Weeks plays it comfortably out on the offside for Simpson, with a rare show of energy for a 6:15 of a laborious Trent Bridge day, to come in and flip it back to the bowler. 464 for 3, 234 Worrell, 98 Weeks. And now here's Bedser, comes in, bowls to Weeks, and he played that stroke again, right through the offside for 4 and a century.
The West Indies ran up a total of 558 in the end, a lead of 335. But in reply, Reg Simpson and Cyril Washbrook had a fine opening partnership.
Now Arthur Gilligan passes me the query as to who got his 100 first, Simpson or Washbrook. Because Simpson's come a long way up on Washbrook. He's 93 to Washbrook's 99 now. And Washbrook, tactically speaking, is not anxious to try the forcing stroke off Ramadin, I suspect. So Ramadin, with one feels just the pull in confidence as between these two. Bowls to Washbrook. Washbrook turns him on the leg side. There are 2 men there to field it. Though Stollmeyer does misfield, but they've already said no, and they don't change their minds rather wisely. And still he hasn't got his run, and again that ripple of conversation comes round the ground, and Ramadin comes in, bowls to him again. Washbrook goes forward and just flicks it out on the onside. A little off the ground, but nowhere near a fieldsman. 209 for no wicket. And Ramadin comes in again from the Radcliffe Road end, bowls to Washbrook. Washbrook turns him off his legs, and still there's no run. Fielded again by Stollmeyer near the square leg umpire. And this is the sort of time that leg break might be a trump card, with Washbrook looking to force it out there. Valentine crouching down by the square leg umpire. And Ramadin comes in, bowls to Washbrook, and Washbrook pads up, and Ramadin asks. But the umpire won't have it, and he can only just have been outside the line of the off stump, because he moved another foot after that ball hit him. So he's only just outside the line of the off stump, but not LBW. And Ramadin bowls again to Washbrook, and Washbrook turns it off his legs, and there's his 100.
The West Indies won that test by 10 wickets and the 4-match series 3-1 to underline their arrival in the front rank of cricketing countries. The following English season, South Africa were the visitors. England won the series 3-1, but in the 5th test at the Oval, John ARLOTT witnessed a unique dismissal for test cricket.
Now Rowan comes in, bowls again. Outside the line of the leg stump, Hutton hooks, misses, there's an appeal. Something or other. There's an appeal, there's a certain amount of discussion going on out there. And Hutton's out. I think he was caught behind the wicket. There was a long, long pause before it was decided. Hutton looked extremely baffled. It was a long time before he went. There was Eric Rowan came up and talked to the bowler, and from Endine's attitude now, he's going through catching motions. I can only assume that what happened was this. We'll give Arthur Gilligan a chance to sort this, but now my impression is this. To a ball pitching on or just outside the leg stump, Hutton, who's now out, 27 out of England's 53 for the first wicket. Hutton played a ball that I should say pitched just outside his leg stump to hit it hard through the leg trap just backward of square. There was a great flurry of dust, and he certainly didn't hit it where he intended it to. Now, there was a flurry of player, Hutton and Endine, the wicket-keeper, and just afterwards there was an appeal. Hutton stood absolutely still, paused for a few minutes, and the umpire gave him out. Now, I don't know what Arthur Gilligan made of it. What did you make of it, Arthur?
I'm still wondering myself what happened. I see Chester is now coming. Caught at leg slip, is he?
Let's hear what Chester's...
I think everybody in the ground is baffled. And Chester is coming over, even the scorers. They're all watching now. The scoreboard hasn't...
What did he charge?
Obstruction.
Obstruction, it must be.
Well, that's what I couldn't see any catch there. It was on the ball was on the ground. Obstruction.
Well, he's been given out for obstruction of the field, apparently.
Obstruction,
I can only
yes.
think that was
yes, that's
that he swung on round in that hook and hit Endine as Endine went for the ball.
Well, then he seemed to swat at it again, as
Yes.
when Indian was going for it.
Yes.
That's what my reading.
Hutton, in other words, trying to prevent the ball falling on his wicket. In the umpire's opinion, prevented the wicketkeeper from making a catch or from gathering the ball. Well, now, oh yes, Roy Webber's here, and he's got the only 4 recorded cases of obstructing the field.
He's out. He's out.
May's out. First ball.
Forward, short leg.
And now May is out, caught forward short leg, caught Eric Rowan, bowled Athel Rowan. This is the most bewildering over. Now, there are apparently only 4 previous cases, 1868, 1899 and
Yeah,
twice in
I think
1901,
that,
a batsman's been given out for obstructing the field. But that is certainly the first time it has ever happened in a test match, and I suppose if it had been put to any of us, we'd have said the chances of it happening were 1,000,000 to 1 against. And now there is a second wicket. May caught Eric Rowan, bowled Athel Rowan, not. And England are 53 for 2.
And the wicket of the 21-year-old Peter May in his second test went almost unnoticed in the commotion. In 1954, Pakistan played their first visit to England. They will remember that for the victory at the Oval that Fazl Mahmood bowled them to. There was consolation for the bowlers who had suffered earlier at Trent Bridge at the hands of Dennis Compton.
And now in comes Khan, bowls to him, and he cracks that back down to mid-off, but mid-off is, I was going to say, respectfully deep. Mid-off's position is a women and children first position. They're obviously about to take to the boats, and there's several players who, if they went back 3 yards further, wouldn't be on the field of play at all. The Pakistan side is as scattered as I've seen anyone since England didn't like Bradman. And now here's Khan coming in, he bowls to Compton, and Compton covers up to a good one. Well bowled, Khan. He went to the edge of the crease, and there's not much swing left in it. The atmosphere doesn't want to play anyway, and the pitch hasn't been playing for a day. But he pushed it in as his leg stump from the edge of the crease. And any batsman's got to play that one with respect. It was on a length, it was pretty quick, and it would have twirled his leg peg out of the ground. So Compton played it. 161 he is now. England 393 for 4. And Khan bowls to him, and Compton hooks it. It's 4 runs, and that one isn't in. That one just isn't in the stroke book at all. The remarkable thing about it is that Compton didn't wind himself, because it was a short arm jab in which he drew his left arm back so hard into his stomach, it's a wonder he didn't elbow himself in the spine. A powerful short-armed hook, just the wrists and the forearms did it. 4 runs like a rocket. 397 for 4. Khan again in, bowls to Compton, he's down the wicket, and he's hit him hard and high down through long on, and there's no one there. It's another 4, and the 400 up. And this century, Arthur Wrigley shows me, puts Compton above Hobbs in the number of test centuries scored. Though, and level with Sutcliffe, still behind Hutton and Hammond. Now here's Khan to Compton. Compton pushes that out on the offside. He's taken another single. This means to say that these two come together in the same world, and great worshipper of Jack Hobbs as I am, I think it must be said that Compton in his time has had a different but a comparable greatness, playing often against the tide over the years when we were losing. And I think it's a bracket that Jack Hobbs would not resent, and of which Compton, with his usual modesty, would be happily proud. Now Khan to Bailey, and Bailey plays forward. You know, really, this seems like after the Lord Mayor's show comes the dust cart. But Bailey's little forward stroke, when he's called upon to perform, just doesn't seem to belong in the same world. I'm sorry if any of you listening habitually listen to Test cricket, because I realise this doesn't sound like Test cricket a bit. But it has, I think for many of us, a rather sad nostalgia. It's reminiscent of the Compton of 1947, who never failed and who never had the critics, any of them at all, on his collar. Playing for fun again. How long his wind is going to hold out under this galloping, I don't know. I think he might get out from sheer shortness of breath from taking runs. Well, now, Carter seems at the moment to have about 5 fieldsmen and 7 missionaries. You know, as they used to say in Victorian days, sent into distant fields. They're still in Trent Bridge, but only just. And now Carter comes in, bowls to Compton, and Compton off, I was going to say off the back foot. He dropped back level with the wicket-keeper and a yard outside his leg stump and hit it into the covers. That was coming at his leg stump. There's a cover on the boundary, an extra cover on the boundary, a long off on the boundary, a long on the boundary. Carter bowls again. Compton goes down the track and he's hit it high and steep, and there were 2 of them trying to catch it. They've both dropped it and it's rolled over for 4. I'm not sure that it doesn't become 6. Now he's signalled 4, but I think the crowd wants 6 there, that it bounced out of the hands and straight over the boundary. There were 2 men there. A deep extra cover and long off. They ran in, collided, and the ball dropped between them, as it always does when anybody's giving it a hammer like this.
That 1954 innings was to be Compton's highest Test score, 278 in England's innings victory. 2 years later, Australia ran into one of the most celebrated of all bowling performances at Old Trafford.
And now it's locked to bowl to Johnson. In, bowls to him, Johnson covers up again, going right back, and pushes out to May at forward short leg, who wangs it back to Locke. A low, hard throw. And again Locke comes in to bowl to Johnson. Now he's decided now to bowl over the wicket, and Johnson takes fresh guard. Now then, Locke to Johnson. In, bowls to him, Johnson again, covers up, stabs out on the onside, and that's the end of the over. Laker coming over, peeling off his sweater as he comes, handing it over to umpire Lee. And a bowl to Lindwall. The close field gathers, but there's a deep field. Richardson out on the deep square leg boundary, Statham at mid-on, Cowdrey at slip, Oakman forward short leg, Shepherd just backward a square, and Locke inevitably at fine short leg. In comes Laker, bowls, and Lindwall plays that with a free flow of the bat back to the bowler. 203 for 8 Australia. 203 for 8. Lindwall 8, Johnson 1, and Laker comes in again to Lindwall. In, bowls, Lindwall plays, and he's on the leg side and he's caught. Well, there's an appeal and he's out. Caught, Locke, bowled Laker. Caught, Lindwall, caught, Locke, bowled Laker, 8. Well, that's 18 wickets, the most ever taken by a bowler in a Test match. 18 wickets to Laker. Johnson, not out, 1. Lindwall, caught, Locke, bowled Laker, 8. Once more, Locke comes back with that customary lick of the fingers. In, bowls, quickish one, Johnson shuffling across, covers the break, and it was a fair amount because it was a bit short, and Locke dragged it down onto the pitch. It turned quite a bit. Johnson moved with it. You can see from the point he's patting now just how short that was dropped. Locke then to bowl to Johnson, with England on the brink of victory. Locke to Johnson, he drops that out on the onside, and that's the end of the over. 1905, Arthur Wrigley tells me it is, when England last won a test at Old Trafford. They haven't won one this time yet, of course, but now their problem is to take 1 wicket in 63 minutes. And yes, go on, Arthur.
Well, you said since they won a Test, you mean against Australia?
Against Australia.
In fact, it's 1905 since any game was finished. The Australians haven't won one either.
Now Laker comes in, bowls, and Maddox drives to cover. Well, Old Trafford has redeemed itself with the last hour of flawless sunshine. And Laker comes in again, hair flopping, bowls, turns it on to Maddox, appeals, he's out, LBW, and Laker's taken all 10.
The first man to congratulate him is Ian Johnson. And England have won by an innings and 170, and Laker has taken all 10 wickets for 53 in the second innings. All 10 for 53. Now, for statistical necessity, if I may use the phrase, I'm going to read you today's scorecard. Play started at 20 minutes to 12 with Australia 84 for 2. Then MacDonald caught Oakman, bowled Laker 89. Craig LBW Laker 38. Mackay caught Oakman, bowled Laker 0. Now here's the avenue forming up for Laker there as May pushes him ahead to go in first into the pavilion. All the members standing, waving their scorecards, standing up on the balcony, leaning down and applauding him. He runs up the pavilion steps in through that crowd and is followed into the pavilion, and there are friends of mine who said they weren't going to come today, they thought it'd rain. Well, I admit it did look as if it was going to rain. They missed a very great piece of bowling.
In 1957, the West Indies were back in England with the 3 Ws and with Ramadin and Valentine again. But at Edgbaston in the first test, Peter May and Colin Cowdrey tamed their threat, and by the fourth test at Headingley, England were right on top.
Loader to John Goddard, faced yet again with an innings collapsing about his ears. He settles, those fieldsmen group themselves round. Loader comes in, bowls to him, bowls him all over the top. Roping down the line of what was to him an outswinger. The stump leaning drunkenly back. West Indies are 142 for 8. And now indeed, Sonny Ramadin's batting capacity may be searched. 142 for 8. And the possibility, I think, is now not to be precluded that England may bat tonight and sample themselves the effect of a new ball in this light and in this atmosphere. The bowlers now very much on top. These 2 pace bowlers have done a very fine job on a wicket that has never been really fast. I think the experts thought it might give them a little bit of help before lunch, but these 2 have found in this atmosphere encouragement all day long. Well, now once again there is, unless my eyes deceive me, rain in the air, sort of Scotch mist, but nothing like that ever seems to deter these West Indies players. They pass one another, the outcoming batsman passing the incoming, and they've shown every disposition always to get on with the game, whether it's going in their favour or not. And now, as Ramadin comes in, walking at a brisk military gait, to be joined by Alexander, who must have a few butterflies under the bottom ring of his sweater. The thought of his first test innings, the close fieldsmen group up. Graveney first, Cowdrey second, Shepherd third, Smith in the gully, Locke leg slip, Truman backward short leg, Evans standing back. 7 of them in a half circle round the bat as Loader from the pavilion end comes in, bowls to Ramadin, and Ramadin skies it, and Truman's under it, and he's caught it just by a square leg umpire, and West Indies are 142 for 9. With Ramadin caught Truman, bowled Loader, swinging, 142 for 9, and for Loader, a hat-trick is on. Well, Fred Truman can't catch him in this innings now, for all his late acceleration. Come in, if you will, Norman Yardley.
Well, there's no doubt about it. These 2 really have made this new ball move about in this heavy atmosphere. The wickets had nothing to do at all with any of the wickets that have fallen today. It is purely the heavy atmosphere, and the ball has moved about through the air. There may have been a slight movement from time to time off the seam, off the wicket, but generally it has been the atmosphere that has made this ball move about, and Loader in particularly has made it go both ways. To give you an idea, that when Smith was out, the ball started outside the leg stump. He went across to glide it, but the ball came back through the air and just flicked his leg stump en route. And now, of course, the excitement is boiling up, everybody wondering whether Loader is going to get his hat-trick. I can't quite remember. Can you, John, when a hat-trick was last done in a test match?
I can't, no.
I can't offhand.
I know a man named Matthews did it in the Triangular in 1912, if that's any help to anyone, but I don't remember one since then.
You've set a problem here for Jack Price. He's searching amongst his library now.
I think you'll find it was Matthews in the Triangular. May have been one since. Now, it is the luckless Gilchrist to face Loader, with again those 7 close fieldsmen grouped round the bat and 3 up out in the defensive positions, and Loader from the pavilion end comes in. Now bowls to Gilchrist, and he's bowled him all over the place. It's a hat trick, and Loader is jumping about like a monkey on a stick, and everybody coming up. Fred Truman, bless him, flung both arms round Loader, and Locke coming up to pat him on the back. And now I'm afraid, Jack Price, the question is truly relevant. When was a hat trick last done in a test match?